If you're playing Dungeons & Dragons online and not doing Theater of the Mind, you're going to need a battle map. Finding battle maps is time consuming, especially the day of the game, especially say you came up with a really great idea for what you want to run that night. You knock out the adventure, you knock out the encounters, you figure out the plot details, and then an hour before the game you realize, hey, you know what? I'm going to need a battle map. This can help with that because you can front load the effort of browsing for maps ahead of time and storing them if you use a tool like Pinterest. So, what is Pinterest? Pinterest is focused on finding and organizing images. Images are organized into boards. Once a board is established, Pinterest will start feeding you ideas. Boards are easily browsable and searchable, making it simple to find the stuff that you saved. As a bonus, it can help you find ongoing resources to use in your campaign. I found Minute Tabletop, which is great for fantasy and modern maps, Frag Maps, which is great for Cyberpunk, and Inkarnate, which is, well, just great for making maps. For my first example, I'm going to talk battle maps for Elemental Apocalypse. Elemental Apocalypse is my current Dungeons & Dragons campaign. Elevator pitches, what if the Temple of Elemental Evil rose and the heroes didn't defeat it? What if they won? What if the Elemental Princes just ran roughshod across the world, and now 20 years later, the descendants of those original heroes have to find some way to stop them, or maybe just survive? The maps that I use for Elemental Apocalypse all have some sort of, well, elemental aspect to them. Sure, there is some kind of traditional terrain, but even then it's more extreme. It's not just hills, but there should be fire-ravaged portions of the hills where there are broken and burned trees. There might be an elemental upswell of lava. You know, there could be areas that were frozen because there is a nearby portal to the elemental plane of water, or actually I guess the para-elemental plane of ice, which is causing an infusion of all sorts of elemental effects. You get the idea. So here is my battle maps for Elemental Apocalypse board on Pinterest. As you go through it, there are some cool things here. There's a waterfall of lava coming down into a pit, so that's nice and multi-dimensional. I've got a bridge out over a fire pit, very Lord of the Ringsy, but you know, sometimes you need that. I have a frozen battlefield with ice crystals growing out of the ground. I have perhaps serene pond, but you know, who knows what happened when that area flooded, right? A frozen lake and what appear to be some amount of bloody bodies lying around. All of this is to point to a very strange and different and in its own way fantastic world that is not your standard Lord of the Rings, right? I want things that are, when the players are there, they feel like they are part of the Elemental Apocalypse. Now, another example I have is for my Cyberpunk RED campaign, which is run over on LairSecrets.com. And in this case, I'm looking for battle maps that I can squirrel away for future reference. A lot of times I won't know exactly what I need, so I'll just take like 15 minutes on a nice, rainy Saturday or something and just start browsing Pinterest and look for maps related to Cyberpunk and see what I get. Now, sometimes I do know what I want. I need some urban locations, or I might need a corporate headquarters or something, and I'll go out and search for those. In doing so, I will inevitably find maps that I don't need right now, but could use in the future. So, for example, there's this cool club sanctuary map with some interesting lighting. Maybe my edge runners are currently going to have a firefight in some broken downtown sewage location. But if I'm searching for cyberpunk stuff and I come across a cool neon-drenched downtown visage, I'm going to steal that. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to save that in Pinterest for future reference. So the last thing, and this is a relatively new use case for me when it comes to battle maps, is when I'm creating my own battle maps, I like the idea of looking to other people for inspiration. And in particular, for my Elemental Apocalypse game, I like really big maps. I like maps that are like 80 by 60 squares across. And I like the idea of having lots of changes in terrain, a sense of depth to the map, so that the players are up high, the NPCs or the monsters are below them, and they feel like they actually have to make decisions as they're moving around the map. It's just not a flat two-dimensional map where they can just easily get from point A to point B. I want them to think about jumping off a cliff and do it super duper dramatically, like say in the movie Underworld. I'm not great at making those kind of maps. So what I created was a Pinterest board, Battle Maps with Elevation, to show me examples of how other people solved for this. So when I go and create my own maps later on, I can go back and say, oh, you know what? There was that one where they had the terraced effect. I think I want to go in and look at that. Or I'm looking for the one that has the river flowing through with some cliffs nearby and rocks rising up out of the stream. I think I've got that saved in my Pinterest board. So let's put this to use. In my Elemental Apocalypse game, the players are going to be going up against a shadow dragon in the whole wastes. The dragon is located in a swampy region ravaged by elemental floods and tainted by the Shadowfell. The Shadowfell is like a dark echo of our world. Think about the Upside Down from Stranger Things. Now for this campaign, because I like the maps to be so big, I'm mostly making them using Inkarnate. But it is great to have a stash of ready-to-run maps when my players surprise me, because they will definitely surprise me. In order to get started, you go to your profile page, and then there's going to be a plus sign over on the side, and then you can choose to either create a pin or a board. I'm going to create a board. You create a name for your board, and in this case, I'm going to put Shadowfell Terrain Maps. You can choose to keep it secret if you don't want your players to know what it is you're doing. And it's going to start seeding you with ideas based on the keywords that you used. So in this case, I'm going to choose, I have this purpley dark one. I've got a gloomy terrace, because again, I like height. Let's see, this looks kind of moonlit. I'll take that one. I've got giant frozen skeletons. That's ominous and nice. So I think we'll take that. And I think that'll be enough to get us started. So now I can go and I can search for other locations that they might be encountering. I know that there's going to be a lake because the shadow dragon is part black dragon, which means that it likes to lurk in lakes and pickle its food. So I'm going to do Shadowfell and lake battle map, and I can see what I can get. So I start getting some weird stuff. This looks good. It's like a greenish dark map. I like that idea. So I made a mistake there. When you go and try and save an image in Pinterest, it's always going to try and save it to the board that it thinks you want to save it to. But I didn't want to save it to the board that I saved it to, which was the Elemental Apocalypse one. I want to save it to my Shadowfell one. So I'm going to come down here. I can do a search for Shadow, and I'm going to do Shadowfell Terrain Maps, and now I'm going to save it there. And I'm going to come over here. Now, eventually it's going to get a clue that I'm trying to save to this location. Temple, that should work. And one of the things that I've discovered as I've been preparing to run this particular adventure is that when you're doing what I'm doing, which is running your map that's a super big map and using dynamic lighting within Roll20, it's really difficult for the whole map to be dark because people can't actually make out what's supposed to be happening in the map. So it's good to have some pops of color to help the players have some reference points within the map. So let's see, that was that one. That was Shadowfell Lake. Let's try Castle. Ominous, let's see. There could be a cathedral. So I think you get what I'm talking about here. We're going to do one more. I know that they're going to be battling in a swamp, so I'm going to do Shadowfell Swamp Battle Map, and even more dark and depressing places, which is exactly what I'm shooting for. Now, I did a companion video for this about using Pinterest for Dungeons & Dragons mood boards. In that one, I warned against the rise of AI and how it's really kind of poisoning the results that you get, honestly, searching for anything on the web related to images. That's less the case with battle maps because AI is really, really bad at making battle maps. So my experience so far is that the battle maps, at least for now, are still safe. I've created a bunch of stuff here. I've saved it. I'm good to go. And what's going to happen now is that, whenever I go back to my homepage, it's going to show me ideas based around the images that I've been selecting. And, I'm going to get more, it's going to accumulate over time. And yes, there are ads that are associated with it, but you know what? I'm willing to take some ads in order to get the images that I need to drive my campaign. Hopefully you found this helpful. I'm Ken Newquist, one of the co-hosts of the Lair of Secrets podcast. You can check us out at lairofsecrets.com.